Today I'm going to explain some literary movements. Start with transcendentalism. What does transcendentalism mean? Is the relationship between man and nature. Heightened awareness of this relation will cause a reformation of society away from materialism and corruption. It suggests that every individual is capable of discovering this higher truth throughout the intuition. Where did it come from? Ralph Waldo Emerson gave German philosopher Immanuel Kant credit for popularizing the term transcendentalism, and it concerned around Boston and Concord in the middle of 1800. What did the transcendentalists believe? Well, the intuitive faculty instead of the rational or sensual became the means for a conscious union the individual's psyche with the word psyche, also known as the oversoul, life force, prime mover, and God. The literary focus. Because of the stress of feelings and self during this time period, literature was a very large medium that artists used to express themselves. Such artists include Emily Dickinson, Ralph Waldo Emerson, Henry David, and Edgar Allan Poe. Then we have the Romanticism. This is a movement of thought and literature that emphasizes emotion, love of nature, and imagination. Concern all these things on each individual person as a source for inspiration. The historical context. Westward expansion born and raised Americans increasingly hated debate over slavery and women's rights. 1830 Underground Railroad, 1848 Declaration of Sentiments. We gained many of the states of the West Coast during this time. Slave states versus free states and fugitive slave laws, etc. The Romanticists found the rationalists who came before them to be too cold and calculated. They watched to talk about the value of imagination instead of the value of reason. Not everything can be explained with just reason. The major belief was the imagination, intuition, idealism, inspiration, and individuality. The type of writing was essays, poetry, and fiction. This is the story when we finally get stories became of the emphasis on imagination. The American short stories and novels really took root during this time. Then we have realism. The realist movement started right after the Civil War, and it was a reaction against the Romanticists, and it was organized in France and the rest of Europe. How do you know it's realist? Regular meeting of lower class people, real situation, main focus on characters, simple, realistic plot, not imaginative features. The authors were Mark Twain, William Dean Howells, Charles Chesnutt, Kate Chopin, and Henry James. Realism in art. Realists want to split from the past style of art, so they start making ordinary unmentionable works art. Realistic want to view the world as honestly, objectively as possible. Then we have the naturalists, and did these two, but while realistic try to remain optimistic about life, Naturalists took a much more pessimistic view. Naturalist is considered the extreme form of realist. Naturalists believe that a character was predetermined by natural force. The philosophical ideas of naturalism were that God is not God, its force is the only cause of the universe. There is no creator, no higher power, not heaven, not hell, nothing. The man's will. Man only an animal, a product of evolution, nothing special. Humans are not better or different than animals, live crudely and by instinct, unable to control their destinies. Man is not free. Every thought, action, and emotion is determined by natural force, social circumstance, or accident. The characteristics: pessimistic tone, objectivity, inevitable fate, plot twins. The Renaissance movements of African American cultures in literature, dance, music, and art during the 919 middle to 1930 result from the Great Migration following the First World War, in which many Africans moved to the northern urban cities. Literature, dance, music, and art. Reading includes poetry, novels, and magazines. With music, swing dance became very popular in the Harlem Renaissance. Jazz and blues became very popular in music. The Apollo Theater was a venue where many musicians started their careers, including Billie Holiday, Ella Fitzgerald, and Sarah Bauer. Art at this time reflects African American daily life from much different perspectives. Then we have the regionalist, and the concept of regionalist refers to situation of tension and territorial antagonism that have a political projection, and it shows as an ideology or a social and or political movements. The ideology it explains a series of problems that it concern regional, which may be cultural, economic, or political, and offer solutions throughout a specific political program. These ideas become a social movement by transforming into collective behavior. The characteristic it talks about the custom and cultures that are seen in a certain place. It is heavily based on classic stories and legends from the religion. It has cultural features of the specific geography. It does not focus on a globalized aspect but on a centralized one.